Thus have I heard. The Blessed One, once upon a time, was staying in the citadel of Lanka, on the summit of Mount Malaya, in the tower of the king of the Ikshas, in the garden called Beautiful, together with a large gathering of bhikshus and with a large following of bodhisattvas. They had come together from various Buddha lands, and were marvelously endowed with samadhis and superknowledges, and were masters of their own minds, abiding in the enjoyment of the bliss of samadhi, well-disciplined, wise, intelligent, and thoroughly versed in the significance of the teachings which have come down from the blessed ones of the past. They knew well how to behave themselves, were sinless, and were free from attachment. There, the Blessed One, in the midst of the congregation, quietly seated, was observed by Ravana, the king of Lanka, who, attended by a large company of his followers, approached the Blessed One. Having approached, he saluted the Blessed One by bowing at his feet, and then, making obeisance, he praised him with various verses appropriate to the occasion. Then Ravana, the king of Lanka, making respectful salutation with clasped hands, said this to the Blessed One. Pray tell me, Blessed One, how is it that the Tathagatas realize perfect enlightenment? What is it that characterizes the Dharma, and what is its meaning? How does the Tathagata lead beings to enter upon the path that is characterized by the cessation of all Shinta thoughts? How is it that skandhas, datas, and ayatanas are brought to cessation? And how is it that the abode of the Tishita heaven is abandoned? Pray tell me of these things so that I and others may be able to understand. Thereupon, the Blessed One, hearing the words of Ravana, the king of Lanka, replied in the following verses. All the Buddhas have one body, which is the Dharma itself. It is not a body of sensation, it has nothing to do with attachments. Such is the nature of the Dharma as body. Buddha is to be recognized as such. It is born of tranquilization, its destruction is of wisdom. It is devoid of any form of a rupa, yet it is shown in all forms. It is beyond all forms, yet it transcends not a single form. To the ignorant, it is seen as in a mirror, but not by the wise. It is like the moon in water, though seen, it is not grasped. As the moon is not in the water, nor is it out of it, so are all things to be thought of in their self-nature. As the moon is seen in water, so are the images reflected in thought. Though not of thought essence itself, they are seen as such by the ignorant. The ignorant are attached to appearances, like the baby to the moon in water. The wise know that all things are unborn, and abide in quietude. That which is seen as born is not born. As to its being, it is like a vision. All things are unborn. They have never been born, nor will they be. All that is like a dream or an illusion. As the painter is not to be identified with the picture he paints, so are all things to be regarded as devoid of self-nature. As the fire, though it is fire, is not to be grasped. So is mind, though it is mind, is not to be thought of as existing. Mind is no mind, as there is no self-nature in the objects of mind. Know that all is emptiness, and be not attached to appearances. Let the wise, leaving all graspings, look at the world with the eyes of perfect wisdom. When the Blessed One had thus spoken, Ravana, the king of Lanka, together with his followers, rejoiced, and again addressed the Blessed One. Tell me, Blessed One, about self-realization that is beyond the senses and beyond the realm of sense objects. By what way, leading to what, is self-realization attained? How is it discriminated, and of what is its characteristic quality? Thereupon, the Blessed One, hearing what was said by Ravana, the king of Lanka, answered in these verses. Self-realization is attained by the abandonment of erroneous views. It is realized by means of the turning back of the discriminating faculty, and not otherwise. It is the realm where there is no arising, no disappearing. It is like the ocean, where the waves rise and subside. It is where the self-mind is seen, free from all that is imaginary. The ignorant and simple-minded, not knowing this, are bewildered by the net of false discriminations. They are attached to the multiplicities of things and are carried away by their habit energy. They are like the silkworm that is entrapped in its own thread. The Tathagatas appear in the world in various forms, according to the natures and needs of beings. Sometimes they teach them selflessness, sometimes they teach them the Skandhas, and sometimes the elements of existence. Sometimes they teach them of creation, sometimes of destruction, sometimes of the paths of the disciples and Pratyabuddhas. All these teachings are given according to the occasion and to the understanding of beings. The wise, however, do not find reality in these assertions. They know that all things are to be comprehended under Samo, self-mind, and establishing themselves in Samo, realization, they remain serene and self-possessed. Those who are not well grounded in the teachings of the Tathagatas are confused by the notion of an ego soul, and, clinging to this Atman idea, they fall into the dualistic view of being and non-being. There is nothing to be seen but the manifestations of one's own mind. I teach the doctrine of liberation whereby one is enabled to see into the reality of one's own mind, and, realizing its Samo, nature, transcends all notions of an ego soul. I do not teach the non-existence of the ego soul, for this would be contrary to common understanding. The teachings of the Tathagatas are intended to awaken beings from their dreams of imagination and to enable them to realize Samo, realization. The truth is that the self-mind is the cause of all that is seen. When the self-mind is thoroughly understood, there is an end to all discrimination and speculation. The self-mind is not a something that has evolved out of nothing, nor is it something that is subject to birth and death. It is that which has been from the beginning. It is beyond all categories of thought and speech. It is the ultimate reality. It is the Sushintst of all things. When the self-mind is realized in its true nature, there is an end to all suffering. All beings are by nature pure, but they are stained by the defilements of greed, anger, and ignorance. When these defilements are removed, the self-mind shines forth in its pristine purity. This is the goal of all spiritual discipline. It is the state of perfect enlightenment. It is the liberation from all suffering. It is the realization of Samo, nature. It is the abode of peace and bliss. The Blessed One, understanding the workings of their minds, gave his answers in conformity with their mental development, and as it is said in the Sagathakam, those who get attached to the aggregates, the elements, and the sense fields are driven about by the discriminations rising from these attachments and find no deliverance from their own thoughts. They imagine an ego soul which is born of discrimination, habit energy, and karma, and is the cause of their wandering about in the 6 realms of existence. They cherish the notion of an ego soul and are thereby given to discrimination, attachment, and habit energy. They are thus chained to the multiplicities of existence and are deprived of emancipation. Those who, regarding all things as unborn, are free from the discriminations rising from attachment, cherish no ego soul, and are not chained to the course of habit energy, are said to see things truthfully. Then Mahamati the Bodhisattva asked the Blessed One, saying, "Pray tell us, Blessed One, how the Tathagatas, Arhats, fully enlightened ones, teach sentient beings, in various ways in conformity with their mental development, about the discrimination of things as being of outside origin." The Blessed One said, "They teach that all things are of outside origin by asserting the various forms of existence that arise from discrimination based on the nomen, and are energized by habit energy. They teach of the Haskundas, the Dyatas, the Ayatanas, and the elements which all rise from discrimination based on the in-nomen. They teach that from ignorance, karma is accumulated, that from karma, consciousness comes to take its stand, that from consciousness, Namarupa is individualized, that from Namarupa, the 6 sense fields are discriminated, and that from the interaction of the sense fields, contact takes place. Thus, influenced by the habit energy of false imagination and discrimination, they teach that although feeling arises from contact, that thirst clings to feeling, that attachment grows out of thirst, that from attachment comes existence, and that from existence there is birth, old age, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. Thus they teach the origination of all things from ignorance, and as they are influenced by the discriminations of habit energy, they are attached to the notion of an external world. Thus they teach sentient beings, in conformity with their mental development, that things are discriminated as of outside origin. Again Mahamati asked the Blessed One, saying, "Pray tell us, Blessed One, about the way the Tathagatas, Arhats, fully enlightened ones, point out the cessation of the external world." The Blessed One replied, "The Tathagatas, Arhats, fully enlightened ones, teach sentient beings the cessation of the external world by pointing out the cessation of ignorance, karma, trishna, and attachment. By the cessation of ignorance, karma ceases. By the cessation of karma, consciousness ceases. By the cessation of consciousness, namarupa ceases. By the cessation of namarupa, the six sense fields cease. By the cessation of the six sense fields, contact ceases. By the cessation of contact, feeling ceases. By the cessation of feeling, trishna ceases. By the cessation of trishna, attachment ceases. By the cessation of attachment, existence ceases. By the cessation of existence, birth ceases. And by the cessation of birth, old age, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair cease." Thus, Mahamati, the cessation of the external world is taught in its order by the Tathagatas, Arhats, fully enlightened ones, who thus point out the cessation of things rising from ignorance, karma, greed, trishna, and attachment. But as the ignorant and simple-minded are frightened by the idea of cessation, the Tathagatas teach the doctrine of continuation so that sentient beings may come to a sense of reality where they will find themselves in agreement with the significance of the teachings and established intimo realization. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and the other Bodhisattvas were eagerly listening to his discourse, again addressed them, saying, "Discrimination, however varied, always points to something that is of outside origin. It has no reality in itself. All that is seen is the self-manifestation of mind. The ignorant and simple-minded, not knowing this, cling to the nomen, are attached to the play of dualities, and, logically proceeding from their understanding of these nomen, are more and more confirmed in their notion of an external world. It is like seeing one's own image in a mirror, or in water, or like seeing one's shadow. Things are not real. They are only vidhamist appearances. As they appear to the ignorant, so they are discriminated. They are like the city of the Gandharvas. They are seen, but they are not real. Thus all things are discriminated as sura and appearances only." Mahamati, when the Bodhisattva has a thorough understanding of the teachings concerning the self-nature of Bodhi and is well established in samo realization, he will become aware that itachit, manas, and consciousness are of ego conception and ego substance. Then with his understanding of the Dharma, in its right order, he will abandon his habit of clinging to the notion of an external world built up by his saurud, imagination, and discrimination. Thus, Amati, gradually but surely the Bodhisattva will attain the uncreate. Mahamati, that which is of ego conception and all the outflow of habit energy belonging thereto, have their rise in the triple world which is no more than manas itself. The manas is not outside the triple world, and the triple world is not outside the manas. All that is seen is manas itself, but the ignorant, not understanding it, discriminate an outside world which in truth does not exist. Therefore, it is said that all things are of manas itself, that is, they are manas only. The manas is Brahmavod produced from consciousness where the seeds of habit energy are accumulated. From these seeds the Sawarut imagination arises which causes discrimination, and from discrimination Utvrzdiniya affirmation takes place. From affirmation Trishna follows, and from Trishna karma is accumulated. It is thus that the ignorant are bound to the triple world. Mahamati. There are two aspects of this manas. One is the seeing, and the other is the seen. That which sees is not manas, but that which is seen is manas. Thus, Mahamati, manas is not consciousness, nor is it apart from consciousness. The seven forms of consciousness, that is, manas, together with consciousness, have for their support. Consciousness is not to be separated from manas, nor is it of a different character, but because of affirmation Trishna, which is born of the Sawarut imagination and discrimination, the error of Sangdini duality is fostered. As to the Mahamati, it is the same as the Tathagata Garbha. It is that ordinary thing which is above unnatural phraseology. It is devoid of all shadow forms. It is productionless and has no cessation. Because the ignorant are unable to understand it, the Tathagatas point it out under various names such as consciousness, the manas, etc. Therefore, Mahamati, you and all the Bodhisattvas should avoid this if you're based upon the dualism of Sushinist being and non-Shinist being. You must thoroughly investigate the monistic teaching of the and be established in Samo, realization. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and the other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, Mahamati, the consciousness is not of the nature of a stage, nor is it not of that nature. If it were of the nature of a stage, it would be in Sozdini created and subject to destruction. If it were not of the nature of a stage, it would be a non-entity like the horns of a hare or the hair of a tortoise. The alaya consciousness is not permanent, nor is it impermanent. It is not no thing, nor is it not no thing. It is not Praisvud produced, nor is it not Praisvud produced. It is not of the nature of Suinist being, nor is it of the nature of non-thinsed being. Mahamati, the consciousness is Praisvud produced simultaneously with all things, as the moon and its reflection in water are simultaneously Praisvud produced. That the Isuinist being is Sinist being, because of its being the basis for the rising of all things. That it is non-Sinist being is non-Sinist being, because it is to be discriminated as being of the Saru imagination. It is like a magician who by the power of his spell can cause all sorts of appearances to rise from a stump. The is the stump, Tasawaru imagination is the magician, and all things are the appearances. Again, Mahamati, the consciousness is like the ocean. The waves that are stirred up by the wind are Brahmavud produced in the ocean, but they are not different from the ocean. So with the consciousness. All the forms of consciousness are revered, produced in it simultaneously, but they are not different from the objective world is revered, produced from discrimination and samo will, but to the ignorant who are addicted to discrimination and samo will, it is soonest being. They do not understand that all things are like a dream, a vision, a mirage, subject to birth, growth, and decay. They discriminate soonest being where there is no soonest being, and, as they become addicted to it, they go on discriminating soonest being in what is not soonest being. Thus they cherish the duality of soonest being and non-soonest being. By soonest being is meant that all that is soonest being has come into soonest being from conditions. By non-soonest being is meant that which is not revered, produced by conditions. That which is revered, produced by conditions, is subject to combination and disintegration. It is an aggregation, it is something made. As it is soonest being in its nature, it is soonest being by reason of succession, and because of this, soonest being is asserted. Thus, soonest being and non-soonest being are mutually conditioning. But, Mahamati, when there is no rising of discrimination, there will be no soonest being, nor non-soonest being. Therefore, Mahamati, abandoning your trust in discrimination which is soonest being and non-soonest being, and establishing yourselves in samo realization, remain in the abode of non-discrimination. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and the other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "Those who are seeking after samo realization must get rid of the discriminating habit of mind. Discrimination is caused by Sri Trishna, and Sri Trishna is caused by discrimination. They are mutually conditioning. That is to say, Sri Trishna is asserted where there is a discriminated object. Thus Sri Trishna is revered, produced by discrimination. Then again, what is discriminated is that of which one is Sri Trishna. Thus discrimination is revered, produced by Sri Trishna. Therefore, Sri Trishna and discrimination are mutually conditioning. They are like reeds in a field mutually supporting each other. Mahamati, discrimination which is of soonest being and non-soonest being, is asserted by the ignorant, but it is not accepted by the wise. When the consciousness is completely achichinarya cleansed of all defilements, then discrimination ceases. Therefore, Mahamati, do away with discrimination and Sri Trishna, and be Karasho well established in the noble truth of samo realization. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and the other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are 4 forms of discrimination by which the world is produced. What are these 4? They are discrimination as soonest being, discrimination as non-soonest being, discrimination as both soonest being and non-soonest being, and discrimination as neither soonest being nor non-soonest being." These 4 forms of discrimination, Mahamati, are of the Soru imagination and have been parajdilan produced since beginningless time. By these discriminations the world has been parajdilan produced, and because of them the yogins have no entrance into samo, realization. Accordingly, Mahamati, the Bodhisattva who wishes to attain samo, realization, must get rid of these four forms of discrimination. Then again, Mahamati, there are four kinds of samo, realization. What are these four? There is samo, realization, which is Gnanam enlightenment of Suchnist being. There is samo, realization, which is Gnanam enlightenment by Buddhist wisdom. There is samo, realization, which is Gnanam enlightenment by discrimination. And there is samo, realization, which is the samo, realization of the Tathagatas. These are the four kinds of samo, realization. Mahamati, what is meant by samo, realization, which is Gnanam enlightenment of Suchnist being? It is the recognition that all things are Suchnist being itself, devoid of any appearance of discrimination. This is called samo, realization, which is Gnanam enlightenment of Suchnist being. What is meant by samo, realization, which is Gnanam enlightenment by Buddhist wisdom? It is when Buddhist wisdom perceives that all things are without self, Suchnist being, are like a dream, an illusion, a mirage, that they are without arising Inishasnavinya destruction, that they are Suchnist being itself, and that there is nothing of evolving. This is called samo, realization, which is Gnanam enlightenment by Buddhist wisdom. What is meant by samo, realization, which is Gnanam enlightenment by discrimination? It is when one sees that all things are to be discriminated as Suchnist being and non-Suchnist being. That Suchnist being is subject to Jasnavinya destruction, and that non-Suchnist being is not subject to Jasnavinya destruction. That Suchnist being comes from non-Suchnist being, and that non-Suchnist being comes from Suchnist being. That there is Suchnist being in Suchnist being, and that there is non-Suchnist being in non-Suchnist being, and that they are to be discriminated as such. This is called samo, realization, which is Gnanam enlightenment by discrimination. What is meant by samo, realization, which is the samo, realization of the Tathagatas? It is the recognition that all things are Suchnist being itself, that in Suchnist being there is no rising, no Jasnavinya destruction, no beginning, no middle, and no end, that it transcends all knowledge, that it is beyond the understanding of all the Sravakas, Pratyabuddhists, and philosophers, that it is Suchnist being itself, infinite being of purity. This is called samo, realization, which is the samo, realization of the Tathagatas. Accordingly, Mahamati, if you wish to attain samo, realization, get rid of all discriminations arising from false imagination. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and the other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are 5 things, Mahamati, which constitute the Suchnist being of all things." What are these 5? They are imana, name, form of form, tasawwurud imagination, right knowledge, and suchness. By these five, Mahamati, the suchness being of all things is established. Mahamati, what is meant by a Mana name? It is that by which things are known, as when we say, this is a pot, this is a cloth, this is an elephant, this is a horse, this is a cart, this is a man, this is a woman. Names are given representing each thing, and by these representations one knows that such is such. This is called a Mana name. Mahamati, what is meant by form of form? It is that which, like a pot, cloth, etc., manifests itself as a Manova name. This is called form of form. Mahamati, what is meant by a tasawwurud imagination? It is that by which one imagines that things are such and such, as when one imagines an elephant, a horse, a cart, a man, a woman, etc. Out of tasawwurud imagination one comes to assert all things that are suchness being and non-suchness being. This is called tasawwurud imagination. Mahamati, what is meant by right knowledge? It is the seeing of all things as they are in their suchness, and it is the cessation of tasawwurud imagination. It is suchness being established in its own proper abode. This is called right knowledge. Mahamati, what is meant by suchness? It is the suchness being of right knowledge. It is the seeing of suchness being as suchness being. It is suchness being which is ultimate, beyond understanding. It puts an end to all discussion. It is suchness being which is the source of Rudra's wisdom and noble knowledge. This is called suchness. Accordingly, Mahamati, these five things, imana name, form of form, tasawwurud imagination, right knowledge, and suchness, constitute the suchness being of all things. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and the other bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, Mahamati, by two things the suchness being of all things is revealed and made clear. What are these two? They are illusion, and cause. Philia, illusion, and cause, Mahamati, the suchness being of all things is revealed and made clear. Mahamati, what is meant by illusion? It is like seeing, in a dream, one's own self as being in various conditions, or as being in a foreign land, and as these are remembered, one says, I have been in such and such a place. It is suchness being which is seen as a mirage, or as reflections in a mirror, or as the east moon in water, or as an echo in a valley. It is suchness being which is not of suchness being, but yet is seen. This is called illusion. Mahamati, what is meant by cause? It is an illusion that is caused by the east moon appearing in the water, Volna wave is caused by the wind, Batok stream is caused by the current, Flame is caused by the fuel, and as from the seed comes the sprout, so from love comes dinga money, and from food comes the body. Thus, Mahamati, a illusion is caused by cause, and cause is the cause of illusion, and by means of cause and illusion the suinest being of all things is revealed. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for forms of suinest being that are to be avoided." What are these for? They are the imagining of suinest being in what is not, the measuring of what is not in terms of suinest being, the suinest being that is seen in its separateness, and the suinest being that is broken into its species. These, Mahamati, are the four forms of suinest being that are to be avoided. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for forms of right knowledge." What are these for? They are right knowledge per krasna presented, right knowledge in its suinest being, right knowledge in its separateness, and right knowledge as vasavanya, rising above. These, Mahamati, are the four forms of right knowledge. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for forms of discrimination. What are these for? They are discrimination as suinest being, discrimination as non-suinest being, discrimination as both suinest being and non-suinest being, and discrimination as neither suinest being nor non-suinest being. These, Mahamati, are the four forms of discrimination. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for forms of rich speech." What are these for? They are rich speech that is discriminative, rich speech that is causative, rich speech that is indicative, and rich speech that is perfect. These, Mahamati, are the four forms of rich speech. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for forms of logos logic." What are these for? They are the logos logic of affirmation, the logos logic of negation, the logos logic of both affirmation and negation, and the logos logic of neither affirmation nor negation. These, Mahamati, are the four forms of logos logic. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for things that are to be understood as constituting the Nistitsa ladder of logical logic." What are these for? They are that things are to be understood as discriminative, that things are to be understood as suinest being, that things are to be understood as non-suinest being, and that things are to be understood as fully comprehended. These, Mahamati, are the four things that are to be understood as constituting the Leibniz ladder of logical logic. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and the other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for kinds of Shravakas who, abiding in their own realms, give Blagadoth grace to beings." What are these for? There are Shravakas who, because they are simple-minded, are frightened by the mind itself, and, abiding in the realm of eradication, give Blagadoth grace to beings. There are Shravakas who, because they have no understanding of the external world, give Blagadoth grace to beings from the realm of individuality. There are Shravakas who, because they are attached to the bliss of self-realization, give Blagadoth grace to beings from the bliss of self-realization. There are Shravakas who, because they are without discrimination, give Blagadoth grace to beings from the realm of discrimination. These, Mahamati, are the four kinds of Shravakas who, abiding in their own realms, give Blagadoth grace to beings. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for kinds of yogins who, abiding in their own realms, give Blagadoth grace to beings." What are these for? There are yogins who, because they understand the Leibniz ladder of logical logic, give Blagadoth grace to beings from the realm of logical logic. There are yogins who, because they understand the Leibniz ladder of discrimination, give Blagadoth grace to beings from the realm of discrimination. There are yogins who, because they understand the Leibniz ladder of Blagadoth grace, give Blagadoth grace to beings from the realm of Blagadoth grace. There are yogins who, because they understand the Leibniz ladder of Sushanist being, give Blagadoth grace to beings from the realm of Sushanist being. These, Mahamati, are the four kinds of yogins who, abiding in their own realms, give Blagadoth grace to beings. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for things that characterize mind." What are these for? Mind is characterized as discriminative. Mind is characterized as Leibniz ladder. Mind is characterized as honest being. And a mind is characterized as non-honest being. These, Mahamati, are the four things that characterize a mind. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for things that enter into mind." What are these for? Illusion enters into mind. Cause enters into mind. Logos logic enters into mind. And Sovershenstva perfection enters into mind. These, Mahamati, are the four things that enter into mind. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for kinds of Sushanist being that are Sunist being." What are these for? They are the Suinist being that is Suinist being, the Suinist being that is not Suinist being, the Suinist being that is both Suinist being and not Suinist being, and the Suinist being that is neither Suinist being nor not Suinist being. These, Mahamati, are the four kinds of Suinist being that are Suinist being. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for things that are the cause of Suinist being." What are these for? Illusion is the cause of Suinist being, Logos logic is the cause of Suinist being, discrimination is the cause of Suinist being, and a mind itself is the cause of Suinist being. These, Mahamati, are the four things that are the cause of Suinist being. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for things that are in Suinist being." What are these for? They are, mind is in Suinist being, Logos logic is in Suinist being, discrimination is in Suinist being, and illusion is in Suinist being. These, Mahamati, are the four things that are in Suinist being. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for things that are not Suinist being." What are these for? They are, mind is not Suinist being, Logos logic is not Suinist being, discrimination is not Suinist being, and illusion is not Suinist being. These, Mahamati, are the four things that are not Suinist being. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for things that are not Suinist being." What are these for? They are, mind is not Suinist being, Logos logic is not Suinist being, discrimination is not Suinist being, and illusion is not Suinist being. These, Mahamati, are the four things that are not Suinist being. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for kinds of Suinist being." What are these for? They are, there is Suinist being in new mind, there is Suinist being in Logos logic, there is Suinist being in discrimination and there is Suinist being in illusion. These, Mahamati, are the four kinds of Suinist being. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, for kinds of Suinist being." What are these for? They are, there is no Suinist being in new mind, there is no Suinist being in Logos logic, there is no Suinist being in discrimination and there is no Suinist being in illusion. These, Mahamati, are the four kinds of no-succinst being. The Blessed One, seeing that Mahamati and other Bodhisattvas were listening to him attentively, again addressed them, saying, "There are, Mahamati, four kinds of no-succinst being. What are these four? They are mind is succinst being, and no-succinst being, logos logic is succinst being, and no-succinst being, discrimination discriminator is succinst being, and no-succinst being, any illusion is succinst being, and no-succinst being. These, Mahamati, are the four kinds of succinst being and no-succinst being." Then Mahamati the Bodhisattva said to the Blessed One, "Pray tell us, Blessed One, about the entrance into a mind which is so variously described in the Blessed One's discourses." The Blessed One replied, "Mind, Mahamati, is another name for discrimination discriminatia, which is caused by the accumulation of habit energy. Discriminations give rise to the notion of succinst being. From succinst being there is the listening embodiment with its auxiliary forms and characteristics based upon the mind. Thus, Mahamati, mind is ordinary from the lesser embodiment. Mind, Mahamati, is ordinary in its nature from succinst being and no-succinst being. As mind is ordinary, the lesser embodiment is ordinary. Thus, mind and the lesser embodiment are ordinary one from the other. Mind is ordinary because of the lesser embodiment. The lesser embodiment is ordinary because of a mind. This is not logichner, yet ear imagines that it is, the ignorant being thus doeth on imagining. Again, Mahamati, mind is ordinary because of succinst being and no-succinst being, but mind is succinst being itself. By mind is succinst being discriminated and plotna grasped. Mind sees succinst being as the lesser embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logichner, but ear imagines that it is, the ignorant being thus doeth on imagining. Again, Mahamati, mind is ordinary because of discrimination discriminator. Mind is discrimination discriminator itself, because its succinst being is the lesser embodiment, properties, and substratum, and because its succinst being is not the lesser embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logichner, but ear succinst being imagines that it is, the ignorant succinst being thus doeth on imagining. Again, Mahamati, mind is ordinary because of plotna grasping. Mind is plotna grasping itself, because its succinst being plotna grasps the lesser embodiment, properties, and substratum, and because its succinst being plotna grasps no the lesser embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logichner, but ear imagines that it is, the ignorant being thus doeth on imagining. Again, Mahamati, mind is ordinary because of visya illusion. Its succinst being an illusion, because its succinst being the lesser embodiment, properties, and substratum succinst being is not the lesser embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logichner, but ear imagines that it is, the ignorant succinst being thus goes on imagining. Again, Mahamati, O mind is производной because of desire. Its сущность being is desire itself, because its сущность being телесный embodiment, properties, and substratum сущность being is not the lessener embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logичner, but ear imagines that it is. The ignorant being thus goes on imagining. Again, Mahamati, O mind is производной because of affirmation. Its сущность being is affirmation itself, because its сущность being телесный embodiment, properties, and substratum сущность being is not the lessener embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logичner, but ear imagines that it is. The ignorant being thus goes on imagining. Again, Mahamati, O mind is производной because of negation. Its сущность being is negation itself, because its сущность being телесный embodiment, properties, and substratum сущность being is not the lessener embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logичner, but ear imagines that it is. The ignorant being thus goes on imagining. Again, Mahamati, O mind is производной because of being. Its сущность being is being itself, because its сущность being телесный embodiment, properties, and substratum сущность being is not the lessener embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logичner, but ear imagines that it is. The ignorant being thus goes on imagining. Again, Mahamati, O mind is производной because of non-being. Its сущность being is non-being itself, because its сущность being телесный embodiment, properties, and substratum сущность being is not the lessener embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logичner, but ear imagines that it is. The ignorant being thus goes on imagining. Again, Mahamati, O mind is производной because of plotna grasping. Its сущность being is plotna grasping itself, because its сущность being телесный embodiment, properties, and substratum сущность being is not the lessener embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logичner, but ear imagines that it is. The ignorant being thus goes on imagining. Again, Mahamati, O mind is производной because of attachment. Its сущность being is attachment itself, because its сущность being телесный embodiment, properties, and substratum сущность being is not the lessener embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logичner, but ear imagines that it is. The ignorant being thus goes on imagining. Again, Mahamati, O mind is производной because of production. Its сущность being is production itself, because its сущность being телесный embodiment, properties, and substratum сущность being is not the lessener embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logичner, but ear imagines that it is. The ignorant being thus goes on imagining. Again, Mahamati, O mind is производной because of destruction. Its сущность being is destruction itself, because its сущность being телесный embodiment, properties, and substratum сущность being is not the lessener embodiment, properties, and substratum. This is not logичner, but ear imagines that it is. The ignorant being thus goes on imagining. Again, Mahamati, O mind is производной because of abiding. Itsunist being is abiding itself because Itsunist being the lessener embodiment, properties, and substratum suinist being is not the lessener embodiment, properties, and substratum.